Miss Martin Muses and another edition of Catholic Explaining. Prepare yourself, you are about to be Catholic explained. What are we Catholic explaining today? Why, it is pride. I decided to let's just go through the 7 deadly sins because we can, and maybe you will be a little more knowledgeable about the movie Seven with Brad Pitt. But the 7 deadly sins, while they have, of course, a great theological warning to them, they're cautionary tales for all of us, aren't they? And pride is the worst of them. Why is pride the worst? Well, that is what we're going to be going into. As always, I usually go to official sources. And speaking of pride, all cats are guilty of pride, and they are evil, and they are definitely minions of Satan. I was told that on good authority, but I love my little minion of Satan. They pride. Usually, if you see somebody that's really messed up their lives, it's probably pride has done it. It's like it's the thing in you that if you are blinded by pride, everything else just completely falls apart. Speaking of pride, well, look who it is. It's Biggles, who is not prideful at all. It's Biggles with that pride, the queen of all sin. Yes, it's bad, really, really bad. But so even though this is technically a Catholic explaining episode, again, this is something that's universal, absolutely universal. Why, hello, everyone coming in. I am not so prideful, says Biggles. Actually, no, you are not. You, frankly, are the antithesis to pride. Hello, it's Chrysanth. Hello. Yeah, I was going to do one of my live streams that I have prepared for serial killers, but today's Sunday. It's Jesus's day. So I said, hey, let's make it catechism time. Let's talk about Jesus. No, if you know the show Mother Angelica, she used to always start off her show like this, or what would it be? Church chat. This is church lady, and this is church chat. Now, but let's talk about this. The hardest thing about pride is it's very much like narcissism and a lot of the other personality disorders. It's very hard to cure pride because you have to not be prideful to admit it and cure it, if you will. Now, when we're doing our examination of consciences, we're often encouraged when you're looking at a certain sin, look at the opposite virtue. And if you really cultivate the opposite virtue, then you'll be less prideful. It's like a practice, right? So the opposite virtue is humility. So you want to be not be prideful, and frankly, you don't want to be a jerk. Well, how about this? Why don't you try to practice the virtue of humility? What is a good version again? What is a good version again? LOL. Serial killers, are you talking about me again? Oh, quit outing yourself, Biggles. My goodness. The good version. Well, here's the thing about pride. Sometimes pride, not pride with a capital P, but you can be proud of something, because we use that a lot. Like when I conduct a performance and I'm just like, I'm so proud of you. You all did so well. Or I'm so proud of you. You got an A on a test. I'm so proud of you. You did something really good. That's not pride. And I think this is where our language, English, doesn't do too well, because our word is very similar and the same. Biggles says serial kill. Oh wait, sorry. Yes, we are Biggles. Oh, whoops, you are. Oh, well, hello, it's Dan Blackwright. Always great to see you. You are a serial killer? Yeah. Oh, yes, we are. Hi, Dan Blackwright Biggles. I know a lot about serial killers. I don't know if that's a bad thing or not, but yeah, today's Sunday, so we're going to talk about pride. So if you see any of these things in you, try to practice the opposite. Occasionally, sometimes people will say, like, why are you being so nice to this person? Okay, I'm giving away a secret. Because I was probably thinking of being mean to the person. And so I'm like, "Darn it, now I've gotta do the opposite." Or if I wanted to say something bad about somebody. So, yes, Biggles, get very self-conscious when I say nice things about you. It's a practice we do. Or if there's someone you don't like, that maybe seek out that person to do something nice for or to hang out with. Now, this is different from someone that's just bad to be around, okay? Someone's bad to be around, they're bad to be around, period. And to be honest, there's lots of people I personally like that are just bad news. You just can't be around. Let's see, they all have wind chimes. Serial killers? Oh, it's better than knowing a lot of serial killers, I guess. Yes. You guys are awesome. Amazing. Um, have I known I've known a lot of people that I think are serial killers in the making, but that is something for another day. Oh gosh, I've got a really creepy, creepy live stream I'm planning. I'll just give you a little hint. The title of it is Who is Sitting Next to Your Child in Their Classroom? If you live in America, look at the law. I assume we're always talking about me though. Yes, I guess that's prideful of you. In the making, Steph? No, 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 Steph's fine. Speaking of which, we gotta get that girl to watch, Alice in Wonderland or Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, though I have stolen a few other friends that were gonna do this, Biggles. I just need to kidnap them to get it done because Once Upon a Time in Wonderland is amazing, and I would love to talk about that with you. That's why she watches all those murder mysteries. That is correct. That is correct. Yeah. Yeah, school is the only place where it is acceptable to let have crooks, criminals, violent people, and frankly, an asylum, people that you wouldn't even put in an asylum next to normal, good, healthy people who aren't a bunch of criminals, and you're not even allowed to tell the parents that they're there. Preview. Hopefully, no one's taking up my child because I don't have one. Oh, that's good. Yes, yes. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you're not allowed to tell people, if there's a crook, but all other jobs you are. It's only children that have to be exposed to that. But that is not for today. That is my preview for it. Hopefully, no one. Oh yeah, you don't have one. Oh, Genevieve is here praying for someone or anyone works too. That is correct. Yes, especially if you don't like somebody. Genevieve, you're awesome. Yeah, she's our little saint in the making here. Makes lovely, lovely pictures of her swans. I definitely someone who has the makings of one. Yes, yes. Well, let's see if this describes Biggles. No, I'm being mean to Biggles now, not necessarily Biggles. Oh, oh, my stupid. Okay, I think I need to share it here. Yeah, and this is going to be a relatively quick stream because I do not want to overlap with Nina. Nina's doing her Yellowstone stream. I'm not going to be on it today though because I I haven't been able to catch up. Okay, here we go, kids. Here we go. Let's look at some prideful stuff. Dan Blackbird said that video going around last week of the student in Florida attacking that teacher was pretty gnarly. I think it was Florida. Yes, believe it or not, that stuff happens all the time. All the time. But usually you're not allowed to report that. And usually the kid does not only does not go to jail, but they're in the class the next few days. It takes an act of God to even get them suspended. But there's a law we have here in America. All I got to say is this: look for the words IEP if that's in connection with it. And I am actually for IEPs, but not for IEPs if it means that students and teachers are being put in danger. Everything describes Biggles. That's true because it's all about you. Oh, Quistance says, Genevieve, I ordered a new set of rosary beads from the site on your rosary recitations, and I love them. Yay! You see, I told you she's lovely. Humility and pride don't mix very well. Nope. That's why if you want to be prideful, you go to humility. But let's look at some of the aspects of pride. This is taken from the National Catholic Register, and these lists are from St. Jose Maria Escriva and St. Francis. I believe it's St. Francis de Sales, not St. Francis of Assisi, but do not quote me on that. Number one, thinking that what you do or say is better than what others say or do. Mhm. Me. I got hit by rulers by my Catholic school teachers. I got hit by Protestant once. It was universal. It did us good. We turned out okay, didn't we? I deserved it though. Yeah, I deserved it. I only got hit once because I wouldn't shut up. I was talking. I check one for Biggles. Yay. Thinking what you do or say is better than what others do or say. And part of it is the thinking. All right. Sometimes, yeah, what you do or say is better than what you do or say. For example, when people want to talk about teachers and what's really going on in the classrooms. And oh, I wouldn't let this happen in my classroom. It's like, oh yeah, I never thought of trying to not allow that to happen in my classroom. Right. So, there is a time where you are an authority on a subject. For example, I'm a teacher, so I know it. Or music. Oh my gosh, when people are so ignorant about music. Oh, here comes some pride. That if I have a knowledge of music and someone does not have a knowledge of music, but they're acting like they know better than me. There's nothing wrong with being an authority on something. I get very frustrated when I'll see being careful for your streams, for example, where they'll bring on people that don't know what they're talking about. It's like if you're going to discuss a topic, you need to bring on people that are knowledgeable. And if you don't, then it's very annoying to me. And perhaps I don't know if that's pride, but a good example is the football stream. Imagine if I had pretended I knew a lot about football. I just like to watch it, okay? So I brought on Timon because he's Mr. Brazil football and everything. So he uh, he knows. So I'm not talking about a legitimate situation where you are an authority on it. Like when I go and have a surgery, I really want the doctor to know better than me about how to like take my tonsils out. That's the surgery I had. Oh, oh no, it's okay. No, it was good for us. Usually the kids had it coming. I see 2 or 3. Since I'm never wrong, I can have 3 happen. Luffy is God. Why, hello there from the future. I never get proud of myself. Only in case of others like my family do I feel pride. But I'm always right. And if you come at me, I am not shy about telling you what you speak. Know what you speak of. Rule number 1. Yeah, and I think maybe that's a good way of putting it. The key, I think, is thinking what you say or do is better. And also the prideful aspect in here is thinking that, well, you're the only one who can say anything about it. So therefore, I'm not even going to listen to other people. You have to listen, people. Genevieve says it takes a lot of courage to be correct and being right all the time. Uh, uh, hmm I think I know what you mean there. Yes. You need to listen to others. And sometimes you need to step aside. You give other people a chance. Share the limelight a little bit. Number 2, always wanting to get your own way. Well, some of these are natural instincts. That's why I'm kind of like, oh, sometimes, yeah, of course you want to get your own way. But sometimes you need to let that go. You need to die to self a little bit. My way or the highway. That can get really annoying and people won't want to be around you. Always exceptions to these are when something is truly right and you like put your foot down and say, "Oh hell no." When you're doing something to that effect. Yes. But just always being so insistent and all that. And then this is number 3. Oh my gosh, this is why the world's gone to hell in a handbasket. I think that social media encourages all these things. Arguing when you are not right or when you are insisting stubbornly or with bad manners. Yeah. Arguing when you're not right. Sometimes people just argue for the sake of arguing. which is really annoying and prideful. But also, even when you are right, if you're insisting stubbornly or with bad manners, that's a situation where when you're right, you're still wrong. Yeah, that's a form of pride. Part of the reason these things are part of the sin is what it leads to. Okay. If you have this attitude, it's not too far where you'll start to belittle people. And then a step further from that, you're then going to maybe hurt them. Always self justifying. Genevieve says, "True, Teresa. Besides, the world is much more than we think." Correct. Chrisanne says, "I would agree with that. Social media encourages a lot of meism and rudeness." Correct. Never try to argue on Twitter. For the most part, people don't want to argue. They just want to waste your time, or they want to be right, or they want to be cruel. I'll tell you what, though, I see that kind of stuff. I won't have anything to do with you, especially if it starts to bleed over into someone's real life. That's where we get to doxing and all that horrible stuff. Gosh, I have no use for that. Lying, I have no use for lying either. Liffy's God says social media makes people think they matter, that they have something to say. Only 0.1% of humanity is worth a listen, and they ain't on Twitter. True. Yes. There have even been studies that suggest that social media is creating an inordinate number of narcissists. Now, this article has 43. We're not going to go through 43. I cherry picked a little bit of these. Okay, before I go on, what is there to tweet about? Yeah. Exactly. Well, I like to share pictures of cats and, some wisdom. Maybe there's a little bit of pride in there. They're like, "Look at this very wise saying I have." Oh gosh. This is where the opposite virtue of humility is good for you, because if you go to confession regularly, that helps you not fall into this trap, because they don't let you hide. They don't let you make excuses. Through my fault, through my own fault, through my own grievous fault. If you want to say it in Latin, be fancy, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. It's my fault when you do something wrong. Here's another one. Making excuses when rebuked. Oh, yes. So let's just say I do something bad, and Genevieve rebukes me like she did on the Harry and Meghan stream. Yeah, we were being a little mean. She was right. She was right. I'm trying to make excuses like, "Well, they have it coming. They deserve it." Or, "Well, I wouldn't have been so mean to you if you hadn't done this." Again, making excuses. Never admitting when you're wrong, right? Chrisant says, "Sometimes I'm torn between saying it encourages narcissism and saying it makes people dopamine addict, or it could be a little both." I think so. I think it's both. Livia's God said, "If you are a smart person, you should show patience for others. True intelligence isn't that you get it. It's if you are able to explain it to a 5-year-old if you have to." Precisely. hmm And if you have to brag about it, "Look how intelligent I am." Are you really intelligent? Or if you're truly intelligent, won't people recognize that? And let's just say people don't recognize that. So what? So what? This goes along with the next one, being hurt that others are held in greater esteem than you. Oh, yeah. This is the Satan's issue. People are going to be better than you at everything. Even in singing. Even Pavarotti, there were other tenors that were his equal. Now, maybe there were only 3 of them that could be in direct competition with him, but there were still 3, correct? There's always a bigger fish. That's what Qui-Gon said in The Phantom Menace. Probably one of the things I truly, really agree with him on. Always a bigger fish. There will always be somebody better than you at what you do. It is impossible to be the best. And when people feel like they are bested or someone is showing more intelligence and they try to put them down or s- go crazy, you see that with narcissistic injury, make ranting and raving videos and go psycho. It's like, so what if someone is better than you at something? Biggle says, I am best at everything. No, you're not. You can't sing. Going with it. No. Well, I remember when I was in an orchestra once, I got like last chair. And I knew I deserved last chair, but also I was in an elite orchestra. So I was like, well, wait a And I remember someone said, "Do you mind that you're last chair?" I said, "I'm last chair in this orchestra." Oh my gosh. There's no problem saying playing second fiddle. People will be better than you at something. Yeah, we are only human beings. Yeah, but Genevieve Biggles isn't. Biggles isn't human. Usually you can tell that you're dealing with pride and malignant pride when people feel like they have to spend all their time putting others down. There's no reason to put others down except to hide your own ignorance, your own insecurities, and your own cruelty. No reason to put people down ever. And I mean ever. Liffy's God says, while these people, Bocelli is the best. Yes. You see, there we go. But I get what you mean. While narcissists are real, the term today is a gaslit tactic. It's a defense for people who talk or don't think. Correct. Yeah. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that even if you're at the top, you still have peers. Like, look, you have someone like John Williams, but you also have Jerry Goldsmith or had. You also have Hans Zimmer. Uh, just off the top of my head, just to name a few film composers. You maybe you like well, you like J.R.R. Tolkien and other people like Terry Brooks and all that. I love it when people try to project things onto J.R.R. Tolkien. He was a very humble guy. He wasn't too full of himself. He knew the traps. He knew the traps. Bigglesmet says, Steph tells me I can sing. I don't believe her. Well, I'll have to listen to you. I could diagnose you if you want me to. I definitely can't sing, says Christiane. Tone deafness runs in my family, but I say I sing wonderfully in the shower. Yes. Well, I will say this. Gosh, I say that a lot, don't I? As an authority on this. Unless there's something wrong with you, meaning there's a defect in your hearing or in your throat, your larynx, your lungs, you can sing and you can hear pitch. What is happening is you were not exposed and not taught the skills. The the myth of natural people coming by that naturally, it's a myth. Now there is a strange phenomenon of perfect pitch. But most people, when they say perfect pitch, it's not perfect pitch. It's something called perfect related pitch. If you are sung to as a baby and have classical music played to you, even in the womb, if you have a good elementary music teacher like me, and that gives you the skills that you needed to listen and hear and hone, that made you sing, made you play, did all of that, you would be able to. Now, you may not necessarily have the skill going into it that others will. There is something to be said about that, but everyone is capable of doing so. Look who's here, not Brian. Hello. Yeah, that was fun yesterday on The Godfather, wasn't it? LOL, says Corey Cochran. I don't know what was funny, but okay. Hi, everyone's saying hi. Wow, people like to talk about pride. Well, I'm going to go through all 7 of them. It's going to be a doozy when we get to lust. People don't understand lust. Uh, but I digress. How do I? No, never mind. We'll get to lust when we get to it. Being hurt when others are held in greater esteem than you. Yes. Or someone gets an opportunity. Oh gosh, why do I keep bringing this back to YouTube? Maybe because this is a little bit on the heart, like where people, instead of being happy for people's success, they get jealous. Sometimes that happens. And I'm like, don't be jealous. Just be happy for people. Okay? No need to be jealous of anything. No need to be jealous. Luffy's God said, people think IQ measure intelligence, but that's wrong. It's about the speed you process information. As long as you get there, you're smart. Correct. And people have different ways of learning. People have different ways of learning. That's why I think music is such a magnificent thing to teach. It's one of the areas where they will allow you to cater to the different ways of learning and intelligence and processing, because they just think, oh, it's just music. So they never paid attention to what you're doing. It's really nice. There's never one size fits all. Laugh out like cake, carry chug bucket with the lid on it. That's very possible, Corey, but I will say then that you did not get it as a child. Sometimes when people say it runs in the family, does it run in the family? Or is it the fact that maybe their mom sang to them or their dad? My mom and dad used to sing to me all the time. When I was a little girl, they told me that. They used to sing Andrew Lloyd Webber songs. Jesus Christ Superstar was out when I was a baby, and my dad used to sing my name, but then call me Superstar, and I used to sing with him. And they used to also read to us, and we would listen to music. Both of my parents were in band. That's how they met and fell in love. My grandfather was also musical. So is it that it was natural talent, or is this that you were being surrounded by it? And there is a fact that the kind of music you are exposed to does cater towards music literacy, hearing, pitch. There's a reason why, for example, Star Wars and John Williams' music is so pleasing to people's ears. He always uses perfect fifths, perfect fourths. Same thing with Andrew Lloyd Webber, the Jesus Christ Superstar. People think, oh wait, I already said that. Corey Crocken says, a seagull in Little Mermaid sounds like a prude to me of that house. Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. Letting drop words of self-praise in conversation. Oh, yeah. And I got to be careful about that one. It's like, oh, well, when I was talking to Andrew Lloyd Webber the other day, and he said he just thought I was so great. Or yeah, I just tend to do this really well. Like I'm talking about pride or humility. It's like, oh, this is how humble I am. It's dropping words of self-praise in conversation, or words that might show your honesty, your wit, or your skill, your professional prestige. It's like, oh yeah, back in the day when I was hanging out with, I don't know, Abraham Lincoln. If you want musical kids, says Luffy's God, have them learn classic piano. Gives you a sense of scale, so you can adapt that to most instruments later. I do. That is correct. That is correct. And the reason why singing is so important, because it's related to that. And also, little children naturally sing. They love to sing. Listen to kids on a playground, even when they taunt each other. The na 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 na, the interval there. That's the So Me Law, which is a lot of children's songs are based on. And yes, because piano is good because it makes you use your left hand and your right hand. It also develops your brain in good ways. That's why they say, oh, music is good for math. It's like, well, is it good for math, or is it just the fact that you're just really training those parts of brains? But we like to say it's good for math so that people don't fire us, so we keep our jobs. Genevieve says, what is important to remember is that whenever ego or any temptations come across, ask St. Michael and his legions for help. Yes, that's a great prayer. The St. Michael, the Archangel prayer. Yes. Another opposite of pride, because His slogan is "Who is like God?" because Satan wanted to be like God. Corey Cochran says, "Truly 100 people don't brag about being or talk about being just they just are." Correct. Correct. And if you're familiar at all with the 12 steps or if AA or anything to that effect, one of the things that keeps people sober are these being honest with yourself, not being prideful, not being so full of yourself because that leads to the addiction. It feeds the addiction that there's an addictive proclivity. Sometimes they'll say, I don't have a drinking problem. I have a thinking problem because you got to get the thinking right to get the drinking. That's after if you've been through rehab and all that, because there is, of course, a physical aspect of it. But I love AA because they don't let you get away with it. They do not let you blame anyone but yourself. Oh, wait, we already said that. Oh, truly humble people. Yes, correct. All right. Next. Oh, boy, do we know this one. Being unwilling to admit error. Yeah. When you're wrong, you're wrong. Just get over it. Being wrong and being unwilling to admit it won't make you right. It'll just make you a jerk. Hello, Matt G. Hello, we're talking about pride. And I'm trying to not be prideful when talking about pride. It's a trap. It really is a trap being a musician or a public speaker the way I am and a writer. Because you'd be crap at your job if you didn't have the confidence to put yourself out there the way you have to. But at the same time, you can't let it go to your head. In a way, isn't it prideful that I'm even doing these things? Just the idea someone's actually going to listen to me. Oh, it's so easy to slip into that. But being unwilling to admit error, you have to admit when you're wrong. There's nothing wrong with saying, I was wrong. Could you forgive me? Or, okay, I was wrong. Could you explain it to me? Could you explain it to me? Genevieve, thank you so much. I was going to Google it. The Latin battle cry, quis ut Deus. That is exactly it. Quitus Deus. Who is like God? You'll see that on St. Michael the Archangel. Everyone's saying hi. Luffy's God said, or you could just know what you talk about when you open your mouth. Then you are never wrong. Correct. So if you don't know what you're talking about, shut up. And don't be ashamed to ask. Don't be ashamed to ask. That's why I love Scandinavians. You guys are so straightforward. You're my spirit animals. Though technically I kind of am. But I've only been able to trace it like 1,100 years ago. So I think the blood is really thinned out. But is it nurture or nature? And how often people mistake that more, if you will, Germanic. I spent a lot of time in Germany. Maybe that's it. It was all the Germans I was hanging around. That it's not insulting. They're just very, very straightforward. Crescent says, well, someone has to teach these things to people. I certainly didn't learn them in a religious Catholic in Catholic school. Oh, I know. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace how badly they teach religion in Catholic schools nowadays. I just couldn't believe it. I always thought all my Catholic friends were dumb when I was a kid. Now I know why. They weren't teaching them well. It's really absurd. It's so much fun. This stuff is so deep. It's so rich and it's so much fun. And they're just throwing it away. It's very similar to what they do with music in the church right now. We've got the greatest music ever written by humanity. And instead they're like, let's get out a guitar and go, and that's what it sounds like to me. It really is. The music is awful at a lot of Catholic parishes. It's like, oh, I don't know. We could have like Mozart or or we could have this crap by some guy who went to, smoked a joint the other day. That's why when a lot of us Protestants converted in the 90s, the joke was God was sick of the Catholics. So it's like, you got to come in and teach these people, because Protestants, there's a dynamic evangelicalism in Protestantism. There is a lot of good teaching, and getting deep and getting rich into things, not being boring, for crying out loud. So we brought those skills with us. Very true. Says, oh, great topic. Well, hello, it's sporking. Yes, we're being prideful today. And don't worry, I'm not gonna be that jerk and go opposite Nina. I'm gonna get through here. Yes. Yeah, don't be prideful. Don't be prideful. You gotta admit when you're wrong. And also don't admit you're wrong in a backhanded way. It's like, "I was wrong. I'm really sorry. It's just that I'm just so brilliant. I just have trouble admitting I'm wrong." Here's something else. This is something my daddy taught me, and I stick with it, and I'll stick with it forever. Even if you are correct, if you speak badly about other people, especially publicly, you will always be wrong. Even if you're right, you're going to be wrong. That's different from venting. We all vent. That's what chicks do. That's what we get out a tub of ice cream and vent at each other. But if you're especially systematically doing so, you will be wrong. Hello, hello, says Sporking. I mean, sorry, he doesn't say hello. He says LOL. I can't. Am I dyslexic? I think I'm undiagnosed ADHD, and I mean that seriously. That's why I crochet all the time. I can't sit and just do anything. I have to sit and crochet. Even when I was in Ireland, my teacher, and in high school, even the teachers would let me crochet. They're like, please crochet. So, I wouldn't sit, fidget, but I did great, straight A's and all that. A good girl. Luffy's God says, me and Stieg know you well enough that we can vouch for you as an honorary Scandinavian. Yes, yes, yes. You have a good head on you, sirs. There's some Viking blood in you. Oh gosh, you see, here we go. I'm getting prideful. It's like, well, yeah. Well, I have it. I'm pretty good authority, for reasons I won't say, that one of Stieg's ancestors shagged one of my ancestors in about 950. It's a fact. It's canon. And I won't tell you the reason why. I know that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hello, Bone. Hello, peoples. We love our animals here at Miss Martin Muses. Just going to say that's how rumors get started. But just remember 950 AD. All right, pointing out, here's one. Pointing out the splinter in the eyes of others while ignoring the log in your eye. That's an expression from our Lord Jesus Christ, but it works with everything else. So let's just say I'm sitting there being a jerk. I don't know. Like, that person always, well, that person always doxes people while I'm sitting around doxing people, right? For no reason whatsoever that came to mind. Or these people are being bad. They shouldn't be acting like this while you're hanging out and excusing other people doing the exact same thing. Or let's just say, okay, if I were really judgmental about people that dropped F-bombs, because I do. It's my one vice. It's the only vice I have left. Yeah. That's why judge not, lest ye shall be judged. Let's see. Oh, here's a good one. It's harder for me, though. Imagining that one possesses great academic, intellectual, spiritual, and or moralistic accomplishments upon where none have been granted or bestowed. Oh, okay. 'Cause see, here's the problem. I actually do have great academic, intellectual, I don't know, spiritual, moralistic accomplishment. I'm not so sure about that, upon which none have been granted or bestowed. Yes. Like, if I were to pretend well, if I were to say I was a historian without my BA, I have a BA in history, right? Or a writer without having been published, that would be that's an accomplishment I don't have. That doesn't mean you can't be a person who writes. Go for it. I think it's great, but usually when someone is a writer, they are someone that had been published. Intellectual, spiritual, yes. Well, it'd be like if I said I was this great conductor, but I've never conducted an orchestra. That would be ridiculous, right? Yeah, intellectual. I don't know. I'm not. People think I'm smart. I'm actually not. I'm just a good faker. Genevieve says, "It amazes me how ego pride has blinded so many people who think they have higher hand but have nothing but an empty cup." Ooh, that's poetic. Yes. And it's a paradox. It's a paradox. Oh boy, isn't it? Oh, and here's something kind of along those lines. Considering oneself too learned to learn or too wise to gain wisdom. Always a bigger fish. You're never too learned to learn. Gosh, I run across that with musicians sometimes. Okay, quote unquote musicians, because real musicians actually know better. I am constantly training. I take private instruction. I go to courses, especially at university level in the summer. I go to workshops constantly. I am frequently seeking out my peers. You have to. You have to keep training. Um, or too wise to gain wisdom. Well, that just goes without saying. No one is that wise. If you think you're wise, you're not wise. And that goes along with this next one, presuming on one's great wisdom. You know how I know someone's not wise? When they say they are. I mean, the only exception to this is Jesus, but he was also God. So God's allowed to be that way. But if you're not God, no. I love Thomas Aquinas, arguably the greatest post New Testament theologian. And at the end of his life, he just had this beautiful moment with God, just in the quietness of a moment. He got like some insight, and then he just finally realized everything I've written is just straw compared to that. And he's one of the smartest men who ever lived. Gosh, he's hard enough to read. All right. Presuming on one's great wisdom. Okay. Insist. Oh boy. This is a hard one. And I'll tell you how I get away with this from this one. You just gotta use extreme extreme actions. Insisting upon having the last word. You can't. You gotta run away. You don't have to have the last word. You will actually look foolish if you insist on having the last word. And the only way I get away with this is I'll mute. Because I'm tempted as hell. It's very tempting. Therese of Lisieux, the little flower, yay, we love her here at Miss Martin Muses. She had a situation somewhat similar. And she said the only way she could handle it was just to leave. Just to leave. She's like, I got to get out of here. Because she was about ready to go off on another novice or something. And she's like, I'm going to do something bad. I got to go away. Time myself out. Genevieve says, "I know I'm not born perfect. I can only do is be the best person I can be." Yes. That's what the little flower says too. Bloom where you are planted, that whole thing. Assisting on okay. Oh, here's one. Being more concerned about your own feelings than those of others. Yep. Now, your feelings are important, but so are other people's. And you need to be aware of other people's feelings. And sometimes I'm tempted here, and I just have to keep reminding myself that even if I feel like someone's being a little bit ridiculous, if someone's feelings are hurt, their feelings are hurt. So you need to listen to that. Okay. Hear them out. You got to pay attention to other people's feelings. They're real. Luffy's God says, I have read the Evangelions that didn't make it into the Bible, and what I want to know is where is Mary Magdalene book in the Bible? She was Jesus' benefactor for. No, she wasn't. Peter was the first pope. Saint Mary Magdalene was a great saint. Yeah. Well, remember the canon of the Bible was established by council. That and yeah, the apocryphal writings. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into that. Yeah, I'm sure you know the history of the canon. But yeah, Saint Mary Magdalene was amazing. She was an amazing woman. But no, she wasn't the pope. She wasn't a priest. She was right there with Mary, the mother of God, at the foot of the cross, and she spent a great deal of her life traveling. She even made it to France. Yeah, she's a great saint. But, the reason why a lot of those books will not be sacred scripture, there's several reasons why something is scripture as opposed to solid reading, and they have to, like, be sound, historically sound, doctrinally sound, and they've gotta be real. But yeah, I love Saint Mary Magdalene. She's often misinterpreted, I will give you that. What does he say? Oh, wait, Luffy oh, wait. Not Brian says, if your last word is to accuse the other person needing to have the last word, that might be a sneaky word. Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. That's terrible. You know who's a really good example of a prideful person? I'm going to point the finger of judgment, and I hope I'm not going to be judged by Jesus for saying this. Ryan Johnson. Oh my gosh. He would do anything rather to admit that his movie that he was wrong. He would not listen to anybody. He wouldn't listen to Mark Hamill, who, though himself is maybe not the nicest person on the planet, he does know Luke Skywalker inside and out. Oh, oh, well, there we are. She has a video. Okay, lovely, yay. Yeah. So what's next? Oh, being more concerned about your feelings rather than the facts. So that's another thing. Yeah, the whole facts don't care about your feelings. They don't. They do not. You have to deal with reality. I had to go through that a little bit myself. You know, am I going to stick with my pride or am I going to look at what is laid right before me? You know, it's a hard one. But if something is a fact, it's a fact. Gosh, I'm being so careful because I feel like I'm just giving backhanded accusations. But an example I'm thinking of is some of this Star Wars stuff where people are, instead of just people trying to say, for example, well, this is what George Lucas wanted in the sequel trilogy, or this is completely in keeping with went on before, when the facts just aren't there. George Lucas himself has said that this Star Wars is not my Star Wars. So they're trying their feelings, they like it, so they want it to be George Lucas's Star Wars. Instead of just being honest and just saying, hey, if you like it, you like it. But you don't have to take those feelings and try to impose them on a fact that George Lucas doesn't like it. And that's okay. I will go down with this ship of I like some really bad entertainment, some really dumb entertainment. I've watched soap operas. I've read and watched all the Twilight. But I'm not gonna pretend it's great literature, but I enjoy it. Oh, nailed it, Ryan Johnson. Yes, mhm. Yep. Yeah, facts don't care about your feelings. Okay, I think that this is kind of the end of my presentation. Let me see here, I need to stop. Um, because I Oh, nope. I do have another one, but I wanna move it a little bit faster because I did say I do not wanna be opposite Nina. Let me see. Let's go back. Okay, here's another one. Being unwilling to admit error. That would also go along with Ryan Johnson. Oh, wait, no, wait. I did do that one. Wait a second. Here it is. Oh, devastating. See, oh, I don't like this. Devastating someone emotionally and rationalizing it by saying, I'm just being honest, or she deserved it. Yeah, being really horrible, saying, I'm just being honest, or she deserved it. Oh, that's horrible. When you honestly believe the rules don't apply to you, including the rules that you insist others follow. Haha, double standard. Everyone else has to do it but me. Please, feelings blackmail from people who don't check the sins before they act. If they start that shit, the discussion's over. Mhm. I think I know, yeah, I think know what you mean there. Oh, well, here we go. Insisting upon your opinion or preference. We see that between fandoms sometimes. Star Trek versus Star Wars, Lord of the Rings versus Song of Ice and Fire, Lord of the Rings versus Star Wars. All of that, it's like it's a preference, it's opinion. Everyone likes different things better than others. I happen to like most of them. Not New Trek, but just because you prefer something or an opinion, and an opinion versus an objective truth. Insist okay. Here's another one. Insisting that others recognize and laud your contributions. Yeah, no one ever gives me any credit. No one ever praises me, but they always praise this person. Yeah, even if none exist. Yeah, even if none exist. Especially if none exist. Usually, if someone has someone who does that doesn't have those things. Okay, I'm moving this a little faster here because I want to be a good girl. And I will be sending you over to Nina's channel. Diminishing. Oh, here's another thing. Oh gosh, don't we see this sometimes? Diminishing other people's accomplishments. Yeah, that's also snark. Diminishing the accomplishments of others who are your intellectual, academic, spiritual, or moral superiors. Mhm. It's like, oh, they're not, that important. No, an accomplishment is an accomplishment. Even if you don't like the person, it's still an accomplishment. Believing that the ends justify the means. Yeah, that also goes with inconsistency in how would I say this? Yeah, just inconsistency in morality. Diminishing the oh wait, I already said that. And then not being able to admit defeat or wrong even when presented with irrefutable proof. Yeah, there you go. It's like, hey, you were wrong, pal. That was wrong. It's like, no, no, I wasn't wrong. You're wrong. No, sometimes sometimes people need to have a well-deserved rebuke. Me too. I get rebuked all the time in a very straightforward manner. But I never get offended because maybe because that's my Viking blood in me, I guess. But yeah, uh, No shame admitting you're wrong. Gosh, no, there's not. Okay. I'm really, really happy with this discussion. Yes, Genevieve says, take care of one, love and light to all. Yes, thank you, Genevieve. These are really just things to keep in mind. My gosh. So that's pride. That's pride. And oh, you know what? I don't even know if I gave the definition of pride. I'm a bad girl. Let me give the definition of pride. It's an inordinate definition pride. And that's the whole key. Inordinate. You have an inordinate um full of pride, disdainful, haughty, exultant, elatant, pridefully. Theologically, inordinate esteem for one's own excellence. And that's the key word. Inordinate esteem for one's own excellence. A habit or vice that disposes us to think more of ourselves than we ought. Mhm. Yeah, I give the same praise to a dog as I do to a human. Yes. Okay, let me give you the link to Nina's stream. She's it'll be good, if you like Yellowstone. If you I watched the first season, but I just got behind because things were going on, so I wasn't able to. And they're now like on season 3. Are they on season 3? Yeah. And they're gonna complain because they didn't Nina doesn't like it especially, but oh, wait. Oh my gosh, I almost put it on Nina's stream. I'm a ridiculous person. I wanna put it on my stream. So, thank you. Thank you, Genevieve. Thank you, Not Brian. Thank you, uh, let's see, Sporking stopped by. Thank you, Bone, Matt G. We had, let's see, who else stopped by? Oh, Biggle stopped by. We had Corey Cochran. Liffey is God, of course. Who else? Dan Blackroyd. And anyone else that is listening to this on the replay or later, thank you for being here. Please go to Nina's stream and say hi to her. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day. And be certain, you hear me? Be certain to not have inordinate esteem for your own excellence.